What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. It is Halloween, so of course I'm rocking my alternate persona, which is Noodles, just noodly man. I see in the comments you guys are talking about how I'm very noodly with my neck and my motions, so ramen beef flavored noodles. Let's do it. Mystique, aka Raven Darkholme, is one of my favorite characters from the X-Men comics, and I of course love J-Law's portrayal in the recent X-Men installments. She's amazing. No idea why they showed her death in the trailer for Dark Phoenix. They did her dirty on that one, I'll admit it, but she's great. Now, of course, the other iconic actor to play the character in the previous X-Men movies, Rebecca Roman. And of course, she's amazing in that series as well. That came before the new series, so old school, new school, both amazing. Mystique first made her comic book debut in Ms. Marvel issue 16 back in 1978. So she's been around for quite a while. Her powers are quite interesting and first came to be when she was around 12 years old. Those powers, of course, being able to metamorph. She can shapeshift into literally anybody. Doesn't matter what size, age, gender, height. She's so good at shapeshifting and becoming somebody else that she can even copy your retina patterns and of course your fingerprints as well. So she's getting into your phone whenever she wants, basically. Here to break down 10 alternate versions of Mystique, I'm Taylor McWatters, and if you haven't already clicked subscribe, now is your cue. Let's get to it. Number 10, the first X-Men trilogy. Right on, here we go. So to start off the list, I'm going back to the first appearance of Mystique in the popular X-Men franchise. I'm talking about the 2000 Bryan Singer directed X-Men franchise, not the First Class franchise. I'll get into that later on in the list. So we find Mystique, played by Rebecca Roman, and this was our first look at Fox's X-Men characters. So it was so fun to see her powers being used on screen. Like, that was the first time we even saw her. The timing was done so well with a lot of these shots that there wasn't really CGI. Like, somebody would walk by a pillar, and then as they're passing the pillar, the camera would kind of go behind it, the actors would swap, and then bam, Mystique walks by on the other side. And you see it so often in the films, yet it still surprises you every single time. You're like, oh man, she's good every time. I never knew. Number 9, House of M. One of my favorite storylines ever, and I'm really excited for WandaVision on Disney Plus because of this story. Basically, the opening is just amazing. We have Wanda freaking out and breaking everything. The world, it's just a mess. So what is Mystique doing during all this craziness? She's actually an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and even the Red Guard. She's referred to as Agent Darkholme, which sounds so badass. Sounds way cooler in my opinion. The suit she's rocking looks similar to like the quantum suits from Endgame, the white mixed with the black and the red. And in the House of M storyline, Mystique has an affair with Wolverine, who of course at the time is the leader of said Red Guard. Number 8, Marvel Zombies. See, this version of Mystique is truly terrifying. So off the bat, a shapeshifter is already scary enough. I mean, taking on the form of anybody, what an easy way to get close to somebody. Like, imagine if Mystique was a zombie. That's even scarier. So now we go to Earth 2149, the location of the 2007 Marvel Zombies storyline. See, issue 4 of Marvel Zombies, Army of Darkness, opens with a brutal but amazing scene. So we see Wanda Maximoff calling for help, and then of course, her brother swoops in to rescue her. Now at this point, we see her face change quite drastically, as she is actually Mystique as a zombie. So Quicksilver is like, don't worry sis, I gotcha, pew, and then grabs her. And then she responds with, sucker, and bam, bites him. Not nice. So now we have a super fast contagion spreader, like I'm talking really fast. S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't even have a second to strike. Damn, Mystique, good call with Quicksilver, but man, not cool, right in the feels. Number 7, Deathstreak. Here's a fun one. So back in Infinity Wars, Infinity Warps, we got to see a bunch of fun amalgamated characters. This happens after Gamora has collected all the Infinity Stones and has literally folded the universe in half. This made a bunch of interesting heroes and villains, one of them being Deathstreak. Their appearance is short but still interesting nonetheless. Only appearing in Infinity Warps issue 2, Deathstreak is a warp between Lady Deathstrike and Mystique. So Deathstreak was hired by the Dragon King to assassinate the founder of Frost International. Ooh! And when you have shape-shifting abilities, getting intel isn't too complicated. Coming in at number 6, Age of Apocalypse. This issue starts back when I was 1 year old, so back in 1995. I think I'm getting old, oh my god. So once Raven came across a young rogue, she took her to the X-Men to keep her safe. See, during this time, Apocalypse was gathering his crew, his like badass army. So she wanted her to stay safe. Destiny actually founded Avalon, which is like this safe place for mutants and humans, while Mystique sets up castle headquarters in Antarctica, named Cold Gray. Solid name. fitting. So she helped those looking for Avalon. Now, of course, she took a little side payment for getting them there safely. I mean, it's not an easy task. There was even a rumor floating around that Mystique had been dumping their bodies after receiving her payments. So Magneto sent out Nightcrawler out to his own mother to travel safely to Avalon, okay? During his travels, though, he was attacked by Callisto, the not-so-chill pirate. Now, of course, he was saved by Mama Mystique, and the two traveled to Cold Grey together. She was hesitant on following Nightcrawler to Avalon, so Nightcrawler was like, wait, are the rumors true? Did you actually like get people to pay you for traveling and then drop their bodies in the ocean? And she's like, well, I take the payments, but that's it. Not nearly as bad, not nearly as bad. Nightcrawler, it turns out, was being stalked by Apocalypse's Pale Riders. So they found Destiny and Avalon. Eek! So the Pale Riders, obviously, they didn't end up so well. They got fought off, and then the Shadow King attacked. So Mystique and her son form Excalibur, and they save the day. Nice. With many casualties in Avalon, Destiny agrees to return to America and kick some ass. Number 5, XMen Evolution. For this one, we're going to the animated series. How fun. So Mystique is just a lot of fun in this television series. She has more of like a mother character in this. But at the same time, she of course is trying to be the mother to Nightcrawler and Rogue. See, they want her to act like this mother figure, but she's focused on getting them into the Brotherhood, where she can overlook and honestly control them. So this 2000 TV show actually shows a lot of important character arcs with Mystique. The action is of course super fun, and the fact that this takes place long before these characters were really shown in movies, I mean, that's pretty sick. And as soon as Mystique teams up with the X-Men, she is ready to go. Number 4, Age of X. Published in January 2011, this story only went on until May of 2011. So it's not too long. You can definitely read it this weekend if you wanted to. So we begin the storyline about 1,000 days after Magneto moved most of the mutants to Fortress X. Raven and Irene Alder raised their adopted daughter, Anna Marie, until they tested positive for the X gene, and then they had to go and get arrested. Damn, Anna Marie was not tested or arrested, luckily, but Mystique escaped, or she was at least freed? One of the two. It's kind of unknown what ended up happening to Irene. Eventually, Mystique ended up meeting Magneto and worked with him for a little bit. She was present when Magneto used skyscrapers to create Fortress X. Then later, in one of Tempo's memories, it's learned that she was captured and held captive by the Sapiens League. So she escaped and returned to Fortress X, where she was killed by America's ass, aka Captain America, while trying to protect little kid mutants. What a hero. I'd rather see her go out like that, like a champ, you know, than how she went out and Dark Phoenix. Ugh. I saw that and I just wasn't sold. All that time with the character building and that's how you want to take her out? That soon in the beginning of the movie? Come on, grow up. Number 3, Exiles. We head on over to Earth 797 where Mystique is actually a guy. Yeah, he's a guy named Raphael Raven Darkholme, which for one sounds like a Ninja Turtle Mystique amalgamation, which I would pay top dollar to see, may I add. Similarly to the OG version of Mystique, he of course has a relationship with Destiny, but because of the gender swap in this version, the two of them ended up having a kid. Both of them unfortunately didn't survive too long, the kid or Destiny. So of course, to make this painting even sadder, he often visits their grave in a true superhero fashion. Also, you can just be a good person fashion too. You don't have to be a superhero to visit a grave. You can just go and do that. You should go and do that. So one day he's about to be attacked by soldiers when all of a sudden Sabretooth enters and saves the day. He was also stranded on this Earth 797, good timing Sabretooth. So Raphael, the not Ninja Turtle, of course owes him one. So when Sabretooth gets picked up by the Exiles, he's like, wow, I owe you one. So I'm gonna come with you. Get him, bitch, we're going fighting. And number 2, epic movie. So when you search for cinematic appearances of the character Mystique, this horrible version pops up. And it's too real to ignore, so let's just talk about it. Let's get it done. Of course, epic movie is part of the parody movies that popped up back in the day. There were a bunch of them. There's like scary movie, disaster movie, epic movie, and of course they touched on the superhero lore that was popping at the time. Now, looking back and watching this now, it's cringe and the humor's stupid or whatever, but this came out in 2007, so this was like a hot take on the character. Like this was like a cool, like they had to get the rights for this character. This came out a year after X-Men The Last Stand, so people were ready for the parody, I think. Kind of wanted it. People weren't too happy with that movie, so they were like, alright, let's see what you can do with this. Mystique, played by Carmen Electra of course, and her changing appearance was obviously the butt end of the joke. But when she asks young Peter how he prefers her to look, he excitedly shouts, monobrow. Oh, I want you to have a monobrow. And to be fair, if anyone could rock the one eyebrow look, Mystique is the mutant for the job. I mean, come on. Now, of course, her cinematic appearances got a big upgrade, and of course, I saved that one for, ta-da, Number 1, Jennifer Lawrence. Of course, I'm saving the last spot for J-Law. So she began her journey playing the iconic character in 2011, starting with X-Men First Class. Now, out of the 4 recent X-Men films, I think Days of Future Past was the most important and probably the most entertaining. Now, of course, this movie was made to reconcile the original trilogy and First Class, so there was a lot going on in this movie. Mystique's character being one of the most important. See, Wolverine was sent into the past to prevent her from killing Trask, because in doing so properly, we can avoid this whole dystopian future where mutants are hunted down by Sentinels. And they're scary too, they'll wreck you. Days of Future Past is hands down my favorite of the movies. No contest. Jennifer Lawrence is amazing, but then of course met her demise in Dark Phoenix. Way too soon, and it was also shown in the trailers. I'm not over this yet. So I'm not sure how we went from Days of Future Past to this, kind of rude. Also, I'm gonna call it now in this video. Maya Hawke will be cast to play Mystique in the MCU. You heard it here, folks. Check the upload date, it's official. I'm calling it right now. Alrighty guys, that concludes our top 10 alternate versions of Mystique. But before we wrap it up, I'm gonna go back and read some comments from our last video, top 10 dumbest DC Comics storylines, which was a super fun one, so you gotta check that out. Okay, first comment comes from The Nerdy. They say, Dad, why is my sister called Rose? Because your mom loves roses. I see. Thanks, Dad. No problem, top 10 nerd. I love it. Maybe the first name is top, middle name's 10 nerd, and the last name, you can just make whatever you want. There we go. I'm gonna name my first kid, I'm gonna name The Nerdy. So thanks, The Nerdy, for that. Sunstar comments, appreciate the top 10 crew doing up Halloween costumes for a few days. Wow, Soups did Batman and Mr. Miracle dirty. Yeah, man, it's the best. We get to wake up at like 9 a.m. and dress as like Toon Squad members. I'm rocking like a noodle sweater today. It's the best. I'm wearing tank tops on my commutes. I feel so free. I love Halloween. And yeah, Superman played Batman so hard. Also, in front of Ben Franklin too? Come on, man. Okay guys, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. If you haven't already, make sure your notifications are turned on. That way when we do our live video premieres, we can all watch together while we talk in the comments together as a family. Yeah, I'll respond to your comments live, so there we go. I look forward to seeing you. Stay safe, nerds. See ya.